Welcome everybody to the big show. Today, Christian is going to mess with me and have me guess what these outrageous markups are on new cars, and we're going to talk about how it affects the industry. Also, the news and some fun announcements about what's coming up in our world that involves parts, our coaching meeting, and lots of other stuff. So that and much, much more coming up next on Service Drive Revolution. So we're hearing a lot that RO counts are starting to drop.
They seem to be diving a little bit.
And partially that's because we're not selling a lot of new cars into the market, right? And so warranty's down, which would bring traffic down. But I think over the next couple years, the battle is going to be RO count.
There's no doubt.
Traffic is going to be down. It's only natural that we would see. You know, when I was a little kid, I grew up in what country?
Mexico.
By the way, everybody, Christian is becoming very bilingual. Dating a Latina has made him, even some of his jokes, like about Pedro and all that, are Latin in flavor. It's having an influence on you. But there used to be this saying in Mexico growing up that they would say about the American economy is that when America catches a cold, Mexico catches the flu. That it has a rippling effect, a butterfly effect. The butterfly effect being that like a butterfly flaps their wings in Taiwan and it creates a tornado in Kansas.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's going to have that effect on us when the volume of new cars is down. Then a year, 2 years, 3 years later, we're going to see that in the service drive in that sense. So we need to be aware of that. We need to be thinking about that. But you got to maximize what you have. You got to really focus on retaining your customers. You got to really
be intentional with the relationship.
Be on it. We also, an exciting thing, this isn't the news, but this is the news.
Oh.
Like it's not the news, but
it's pre-news?
Well, different news. How about that? Different news. Our coaching meeting coming up in Texas. So we're having one of our first, besides Top Dog,
this is the first time we've met together with our clan.
We've been doing them virtual. Now we're going to a hybrid. Some of the coaching meetings are on Zoom, and then this one's going to be in person. So we're doing a regular coaching meeting, and then we're doing the elite group. So our elite managers are the best of the best. They're the ones that have the best CSI in the country, the highest profitability, and they have won our competition that's internal, basically. But we have an incredible speaker. And I don't even want to say the name because people wouldn't understand why we have him as a speaker.
Well, if they researched him, it would make sense. But
no, because it would come up that he's into cyber data.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited about that. It's somebody I have seen speak and also interacted with. And when you talk about the psychology of the customer and kind of the customer experience, also I think leadership and retaining and hiring techs, all of that is going to apply to this. And it's going to be really fun. So I'm really excited about that meeting coming up. Also, the elite group, we'll talk about what they're going to do on another episode, but they have a little adventure. So the elite group, because they don't want to sit around and talk about how to hire techs or effective labor rate, because
they did that.
They got that figured out. We usually give them some sort of an experience where we go into a business and we get them to open up their book. So we've done, restaurants, all kinds of different things. And this time in Dallas, it's a pretty interesting business that Patricia here in our office has got them to agree to open up their books.
Yes, which they are going to love that experience. I'm a little jealous I don't get to go.
Be
but
fun.
That's cool.
Then one more thing in the news, not news, is we're finally doing it. We're adding parts to our software. So we're going to start benchmarking parts departments along with service departments. And in some of our coaching groups for a couple dealer groups that we have, we're going to start including parts managers in the meetings now. But I think kind of going forward, we're going to start pulling the parts managers into what we're doing and into the conversation just because they're so vital to it. And we need we need their opinions, their ideas. And also it's just parts, is a little lonely sometimes. So I think.
Yeah, the collaboration is what we're looking for sure.
Yeah, so that's exciting. I have suggested, and so tell us what you guys think. If you're listening to this, you're not going to be able to put it in comments. But if you're watching this on YouTube, in the comments, tell us what you think. But I have suggested to Christian and one of our coaches, well, I didn't suggest it to him, I suggested it to you, that we start a podcast for parts called Parts Hold. And like the logo could be like an hand holding an engine. Like it's not necessarily like, hey, parts hold. It's like, hold on, let's talk about parts. Like
That's
parts,
right.
Hold on, let's talk about parts.
So it's like a double entendre.
Even if you just started doing one a month and you had parts managers on and we started a conversation about parts, it would definitely be something I would listen to. It would be fun.
We have a topic list going.
Yeah.
It's about ready. It's been a weird day, by the way. I don't know. I didn't mention this to you earlier.
It's a segue to a joke.
And
by the way, Christian has a joke he can't tell on here.
It's so good.
I vetoed it.
But it was funny. We all laughed. But
I wish we had like go to chriscollinsinc.com/
cutting room floor or something like that. It's so good.
But it's a dirty joke, kind of dirty.
There's no dirty words.
It's not professional.
Right, definitely not professional.
So what were you saying?
So I'm walking to work, and I'm like, okay, this is the best day ever. I look on the ground. There's a can of money. I'm like, this is great.
Can of money, like a can of soup?
Can of money. It's like a soup can with money in it. So I grab it. I start walking. All of a sudden, some guy with a guitar starts chasing me. I can't figure it out.
Everybody give Christian a round of applause.
Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Very quiet. Can't hear him clapping.
One person's clapping.
Before we get to our topic of today, why don't we jump to the news?
So there are a couple of things that I wanted to talk about. Normally on the news, people lead with doom and gloom. I'm not going to do that this time. We will have doom and gloom. But what I wanted to talk about first, kind of exciting, this is an article that's talking about the new Ferrari SUV.
Ferrari SUV?
There is now a Ferrari SUV.
Ferrari would never make an SUV.
That's what they thought too. So I've seen the Lamborghini SUV, but now Ferrari is coming out with their.
What are your thoughts on the Lamborghini SUV?
I don't know if it's related or not, but it looks a lot like the Porsche Cayenne.
Is that the one you wanted? The girly one?
When the girly one's the Macan.
Oh.
Let me just kind of read a little bit of this. We could never imagine a day when a Ferrari SUV would become a reality. According to Ferrari CEO Benedetto Vigna, which, like, literally, what else could Benedetto have done for a living other than be the CEO of Ferrari with that kind of name? Like, that's the most Italian name I think I've ever heard. But the Italian sports car company is preparing to unveil its first ever luxury SUV, the Puro Sangue, which means thoroughbred in Italian. So they're hopping into that thing, but yeah, it's going to compete against the Lamborghini Urus, Aston Martin DBX, and the Porsche Cayenne. But I have a feeling they're going to put a really nice flavor on the old SUV. I think that would be a lot of fun. But
I have a feeling they're not.
Why do you say that?
I just don't think you can do it. I don't think a Ferrari needs to be an SUV. It's a money grab. That's it.
Okay.
Which is okay. Like, you, as a business, you have every right to do that. It's fine, but it's not a. Well, I don't wake up in the morning and go, "Hey, I wish Ferrari made an SUV."
So are you offended by the Bentley SUV?
No, you know what I was thinking about is like one of the lessons I learned at running a BMW store is like BMW's all about performance, and then kind of what you find out is the people that buy the M series, and so if you're not familiar with BMW, M would be like their race models, right? The highest performing models. Like some of them are almost undrivable. Like if you get a 6 Series M that has this SMG transmission. They're built for the track. They're undrivable. Like you're just like jerking, like, you know, it's meant for the track. But people will buy those. And I think the stat was something like 5% of them ever make it on the track. It's probably less than that. But they're buying them for status.
100%.
And so when you buy a Ferrari SUV, you're not buying it for the performance. It's not even the craftsmanship. Because I don't know if have you been in a Ferrari lately?
No.
My buddy he gets a new one every couple of years. They're not. The craftsmanship, I mean, in a Rolls Royce, you kind of like understand. Like,
there's a hand craftsmanship to a
handmade or
Rolls.
whatever. You don't really get that vibe in a Ferrari. Also because just everything's meant to be light too, so
Yeah.
you're kind of building it to be lighter and more of a performance car. But I don't know. It just seems like even with the Lambo SUV, it's all status. It's where we live. It's all just rappers driving around, but they never go to the track. You can't get going more than 35 miles an hour here. There's so much traffic.
Not on your commute to work.
You
No way.
you look important, I guess. Right?
I'd like
That's
to
why I
see
love
it.
my big boat. Like that thing, air suspension.
I will tell you, that's the thing that surprised me most about your vehicle is that it rides so much better than I ever thought
It is
it
like
would.
driving a home theater couch.
Yes. And really nice seats, the whole nine.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
It's great. Okay, so Ferrari's making an SUV.
Yeah, so apparently that's not news.
You just did the David Letterman throw it at the camera thing.
I really did, didn't I?
That's cool.
All right, so next, this is my favorite news article of the day, is we have a list of vehicles that are in the most fatal accidents in the United States.
Oh, that's morbid.
Yes, let's talk about that
Let's
for
talk
a second.
about death.
Yeah, so I
I
just
thought
want
you
to...
said that we weren't going negative.
No, this is factual. This isn't fake news, this is
I didn't
real.
say it wasn't factual. I said it's negative.
Oh, well, it depends.
Okay, so these are the cars that are in the most accidents?
That cause fatalities, yes.
Now, would we consider in this measurement that the type of driver that would buy this car would? I was having a conversation with our friend Chase this morning, and he was saying that he was just at the Masters, and they gave him a Tesla to drive, and he turned on the autopilot, right? Is it called autopilot?
I think so.
Autopilot. And he said that the thing almost killed him, that the autopilot was trying to like swerve into the semi, and like that when he had to overcorrect to get out of it, and he said that it was felt very unsafe to him. And I said, well, Chase, the science tells you that the driverless software is safer than humans. But you got to consider everybody in that equation, like people like you that shouldn't be driving. Your license should have been taken away years ago, are in that equation against the Tesla. So the Tesla just has to be better than your average clown driving, like drinking, right?
Yep.
So you got drunk drivers in that equation. You got people that have had no sleep in that equation, right? That are falling asleep at the wheel. You got 90-year-olds, old ladies that have no...
They can't see over the steering wheel.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it just has to be better. The marker is just better than your average American clown. In this equation, would we take into consideration that, like, if the top car on there is like, let's say a Camaro, would we take into consideration the type of personality that buys that car might be contributing to the fact that that car is in more fatal accidents?
So I would have expected that was the case, that if I looked at the top 5 that they would all be hot rods. Not the case at all.
Really?
Yeah. So
Like,
it's
so
pretty fascinating.
the top car is a Honda Accord. Like, you would say a Honda Accord has a conservative, kind of smart, safe driver.
Honda Accord number 3 on the list.
No way.
Promise.
For the most fatalities?
Yes.
Okay, go through the list.
Number 1, the Chevy Silverado. Number 2,
Surprises me.
I think just as surprising, F-150. So if you want to die, drive a truck.
Trucks are flipping over.
That's right. Number 3 is the Honda Accord, followed closely by the Toyota Camry, another what I would call a very conservative vehicle.
So this must be on volume too, right?
Yeah, so it's graded by volume. So I think that's the other thing you have to understand about Accord and Camry. There's so many of them on. Well, I mean F-150s
so you
too.
you'd kind of want to dice this list by taking volume into consideration because, like, you know, maybe 1 out of 10 Ferraris crashes and kills somebody, but there's only so many of them on the road compared to a Silverado, right?
Right. Now, this is interesting. In the state of California, the car that causes the most is involved in the most fatalities, Honda Civic. Only in California. Every other part of the country, like the trucks dominate. So I think that's fascinating. The low ones.
California's not a truck market. Well, not Southern California.
No. The low stuff on this list, Hyundai Elantra, minimal amount of dead people. Nissan Sentra, Honda CR-V, and Ford Mustang.
So on a rainy day in California, who's the person tailgating you right up on your butt? It's always a guy in a truck.
Yeah, with the big light bar above the top, and it's lifted.
So it is kind of tied to personality.
Yeah, a little bit. And then the balls in the back.
That's always funny.
Yeah. So that makes sense. It's got to have something to do with driving habits, not just volume.
That's a good list. That was fun. Okay, now let's get to the crazy markups that are happening on new cars. And let's talk about what they are. And then let's talk about what impact it's going to have on the service drive.
So thinking about that,
you recently just bought a car. I bought a car at the end of the year.
Yep.
And when I was going to buy the car, most of the dealerships were charging over. I found one that wasn't, and I, maybe knew somebody.
Yeah.
But if you're a regular consumer and you don't know anybody, in a lot of markets you're gonna pay over. Also, what's interesting is a lot of the cars aren't online anymore. Like the dealerships aren't paying to put them up on AutoTrader and Cars.com and all that because I think they have more customers than they have cars, so they don't need to market. They don't want to pay for that, and also they don't want to put it up because they don't want consumers to see how much they're charging over.
That's right. So I did all of my searches through the manufacturer website and vehicle inventory locators. So I knew what I wanted, and then I had the color picked out, all that other good stuff. So I got it down to where the vehicle inventory was listed, and almost all of them said call for price kind of thing. Like they weren't really listing the prices.
Yeah.
So I found a couple of places. I tried it without using my I know people in the business card, and just
really,
called.
I just went right to that.
Yeah, and
just pull that card out.
Yeah, I might have been doing a little bit of research just to see how it was, and I reached out to a dealer that had the one that I wanted, and they're like, "Well, we're happy to sell that to you for $5,000 over list." And I'm like, "I'm happy to not pay $5,000 over list. That's great news." And I even said,
Who said that? Well,
do you want me to name the place?
Well, it's not the place you bought it from.
No.
So the first place you went wasn't our client?
Correct.
Oh.
Because they had the car.
Oh, so did our client dealer trade for it?
No. So I took a car that they had in their inventory, it was like my second or third choice anyways.
Was it a different color or what was it?
It was the only thing that was different.
What color did you want?
I wanted a blue color.
And you got what color?
Cars, like a really cool looking gray.
He got it's a BMW 4 Series convertible.
Mm-hmm.
Is what Christian got, if anybody's wondering. And so you wanted the blue, but you got gray?
Like a gray color. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a really cool color. It actually looks like Clyde's wrap. It's very similar to that color.
Clyde, for everybody, is
everybody doesn't
Tesla.
know that the Tesla's named Clyde.
We name our cars. So my Tesla is Clyde because it matches a gun that we have that's called Bonnie.
There's always logic to your name.
Yeah, and then my Range Rover is named Winston Churchill, but we call him Winston. And that's just because he's English and he looks like a general. The thing does.
He does. So, but they were. I was negotiating with them the dealer that I didn't buy from. I was negotiating with them, and they literally let me walk for $2,500 over list.
Well, yeah, because they got more customers than they have cars.
It did not matter to them.
So we got to think about this from an industry's perspective. Is all these customers are paying over the value of the car.
Yeah.
Now, what's going to happen a year or two from now? We already are seeing. So I was with a big manufacturer last week. They said the average car on the road is 13,000 miles now in there.
No, 13 years.
13 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, 13 years. And I think that might push up. I mean, we might go 14, 15 because people are going to keep their cars longer. So you have a list. They have not shared this with me. They think it's funny. So they've been laughing about this for 2 days.
Yes.
A list of cars. You're going to have me guess. What are you going to tell me?
So I'm going to tell you the type of car, and you tell me how much over sticker they
are. You going to tell me what MSRP is?
Sure, I can do that for you.
Okay, and so we're going to go through I think you had 15, but I said we should only do 7, right? I think 15 is too much.
So I've got, we're going to do exactly 7. So the first one on here is a 2021 Mustang GT Premium. Not even the Shelby or anything like that. The list price on this beast is $41,000.
That's a fun car.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to guess they're charging 5 over.
So that would be reasonable. But we found this vehicle listed for $145,000.
What?
Marked up $100,000.
How? What state?
I don't have the state listed, but I did actually click on it. It was on...
Okay, by the way, there's real links to this, and
yes.
I don't know how long the cars will still be on the market because somebody might go pay $100 over and buy this thing.
Maybe.
But we will on YouTube. We'll put them in the description just so you guys can see. Because that's one thing we were talking about this morning is people aren't going to believe.
Yeah, so we verified this list before we talked about it.
And it's a dealer?
So it's a regular Mustang. It's not the fancy Mustang. Yeah. I thought that was fascinating. Okay, now next one. This one I expected. This is a Chevy Corvette, 2022.
Okay.
MSRP $90,805.
I'm gonna say it's marked up 20 because I've seen them for 110.
Yeah, this one's going for $130,805. A markup of $40,000.
Yeah, I guess you could make the case that car is worth 140, but
yeah, I think that we'll get into this.
I think that's a different kind of buyer. I think the person buying a Mustang is more susceptible to bad decisions and economic strife than a person who can buy a Corvette most of the time, just on average, right?
Yeah, but just if you're scoring at home, you can buy the Corvette at $40,000 over for $15,000 cheaper than that Mustang that I just talked about. That's crazy to me. So the Chevrolet at 40
have the Corvette,
hands down. It's
I like that Corvette.
Now this is what I would call the most interesting thing on the list. Would you believe that there's a Kia on this list?
No.
The EV6.
Oh.
List price $50,800.
Is it a car or an SUV?
I believe it's an electric car.
You didn't answer my question. Is it a car or an SUV?
Electric car.
Oh, car?
Yeah. You're just used to people not answering your questions when you ask.
I think 10. Well, I don't know. That's hard. I guess 10,000 over.
16.
16 over.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I thought that was really interesting.
Not as unreasonable as the Mustang.
Yeah. So this one is really interesting for a couple of reasons. So the next is the Bronco, full-size Bronco.
The new one?
The new one, yep. 42 grand is the MSRP on this bad boy.
I've seen those over for 20.
Okay.
So I would say, I'm guessing because it's on your list, I'm going to say 30.
44. So
it's 80 something.
86,000. So then I did something that was really interesting. So I went on KBB and looked to see what the actual trade-in value was on this thing. So on the MSRP of $42,000, what do you think the KBB trade-in value is on this particular one?
Well, on that one, I'm going to think that it's higher than retail. So I'm going to say it's 50.
70.
Really?
I thought that was really interesting because I'm like, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, these people are in big trouble on that.
Can you imagine trying to run Kelley Blue Book or any of those right now? Like, you almost have to update them. You would have to update it weekly. Like, it just doesn't even make sense.
You update it with your dartboard because I don't think that anyone understands what the value
it's really like whatever they'll pay.
So I thought that was an interesting one. Then this also was interesting. Toyota Tundra on the list. I wouldn't expect that as a super high demand car. List price $49,000.
Toyota, I think Toyota's having production issues.
Yeah, $49,509 is MSRP. What do you think about that bad boy?
10?
30.
Really?
$30,000 over. Yeah, you can buy that for $79,000 if you'd like.
Will people pay that?
I don't know. It's still for sale. So now I am at the shocker of the list.
More than the 100,000?
Yeah. So this is a Hummer, a new Hummer, which is the electric Hummer. The list price, $110,000.
$110,000. This
is going to blow you away.
Well, I think because that one is just coming out or whatever. Is it $100,000?
No, that would be cheap.
What?
The markup over MSRP, $229,000. You can buy that Hummer for $339,000.
That's nuts.
I wouldn't believe it if I didn't see it.
Okay, so
so we've got one more, which I thought also was an interesting one. The RAV4 Prime, MSRP $49,659, marked up $40,000. Well, I didn't let you guess, but the reason
what is Kelley Blue Book on that?
Great question. The Kelley Blue Book on that one is $45,000. So MSRP $49,000, marked up $40,000. Kelley Blue Book is $45,000.
Yeah. So think about this, everybody, when you're kind of processing this. That what probably is going to happen, right? I don't have a crystal ball, and I'm not doom and gloom, but our economy is going to slow down. As our economy is slowing down in the next year, manufacturers are going to figure out their production, and the production is going to come back to a degree. Now, some manufacturers have a different strategy. Some manufacturers are saying we like having more demand than we have supply.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we know manufacturers are greedy. We know a lot of, especially the American ones, have union contracts to fulfill. They're going to want to do volume. I would assume the Japanese brands are going to want to do volume also, but it's an assumption.
In their game.
But
yeah.
the volume is going to come back. You buy a RAV4 for $40,000 more than MSRP and $46,000 more than what it's worth the second you drive it off.
Yes.
The lot. A year from now, you're so buried. If you're the average consumer, you're so buried in that car. There's no way you're getting rid of it, and you're pissed.
Yeah, if I was investing, I would buy stock in Dynamite.
Yeah.
Because I think people are going to blow their cars up.
Because we know these values are going to come back down to a realistic number eventually. It might be a year, it might be 2 years, but the people that are buying a car today that are paying over are buried in those cars. And what is that? So it almost doubles the payment in a sense, right?
It exactly doubles the payment. You know what a payment is on a $90,000 car if you're financing it? For a RAV4?
$1,500?
I almost think it's more than that. Even if you did 6 years, $72,000, $8,000. Yeah, $1,500 including interest for a RAV4 for 6 years.
Yeah.
That's crazy, right?
It is. It doesn't make sense. And so how is this going to affect the service drive when people are in the car more than the car is worth? Is they are going to keep the cars longer. They're going to be forced to keep the cars longer. And so them keeping the cars longer also is going to, if supply increases, we're going to have dealerships again with certain brands that will have a 90-day supply of cars, and the value of those cars will dramatically drop. And
they won't be able to sell them because there's no one that can buy them.
Yeah.
It's going to be a really, really weird situation, right? And speaking of production, so I was thinking about this the other day. I've heard this thing on the news where they're starting to recommend that women shouldn't have kids over 40. And I feel like that's kind of a controversial topic.
Weird. Why not?
I know, but the funny thing is I actually know now that I've thought about it, I agree with him because 40 kids is a lot.
Okay, it's an interesting time.
It is an interesting time. But yeah, the thing that I wrote down was that that's a captive audience. They're not going anywhere. They're service customers. Also, the people that normally would buy, they see all this going on, and they'll say, I'll wait a year and I'll fix the car. So I think that it's a really, really good time. It reminds me a little bit of 2008, but like on steroids.
Well, I think the thing different than 2008 is if you buy that RAV4 and you pay 40 over, your cognitive dissonance is going to create an additional value or an additional esteem for that vehicle. You're going to be more enthusiastic about it because you have to be.
I hope so, yeah. Otherwise, you'll be depressed.
Yeah, and so you're going to be more apt to maintain it. You're going to be more apt to, service it, wash it, wax it, all of that. And so we as an industry need to feed to that. We need to compliment people on their cars, really understand that a lot of people that are buying new cars right now are paying a lot of money. It's a big deal.
Yeah, that's a really good point about the complimenting.
So this is SDR, Service Drive Revolution, episode 192. What's really fun is we will be doing a special episode, the 200th, in the new building. So we're counting down to our move to the new building, but we got to have a party for 200. Mm-hmm. We should invite some people out. We should have a big party, maybe even do that one live or something.
Yeah.
But we're not that many away from that. So watch out for that also. And have a great week. We'll see you next time on Service Drive Revolution. Thanks so much for watching this episode of Service Drive Revolution. We're uploading new stuff every day, so make sure you subscribe and click the bell icon so you don't miss out. If you have a question you'd like us to answer on the show, call 8333-ASK-SDR and we'll answer your question on the show. That's 8333-ASK-SDR. For special deals on our books and training, head over to offers.chriscollinsinc.com. Now that's offers.chriscollinsinc.com. I'm Chris Collins, and I'll see you in the next video.